What's up, guys? This is your pal Ludi Loco coming back to you with a post narration. First time I've ever done one of these. What I got for you today is an RU match on Pokemon Showdown. I've been playing a lot of RU lately, and it's a very difficult tier to ladder in. Like, there's a lot of standard stuff that you see a lot, but at the same time, people tend to run stuff that kind of runs all over the place. So it's not as much like an OU or a UU where everything you see in those tiers is like you would expect it. But I don't know. Sometimes randomly people just bring things that throw off throw your entire team off or can sweep you, or it's just a bit more of the wild wild west down in the lower tiers, especially since a lot of NU stuff is viable in RU. So let's go ahead and start the battle. I'm going to start and talk a little bit about my team before we even get going here. I am leading off with a Choice Scarfed Magneton. A lot of people have asked me about this, wondering why I don't run Eviolite. That's a good question, but Magneton is actually still pretty bulky and has a really good defensive typing, even without the Eviolite. So I think that adding a Choice Scarf to it, so it outspeeds almost the entire tier, is really awesome, especially when you have access to Volt Switch and can use it as a pivot like I do. It has base 120 special attack, so it's nothing to sneeze at for sure. Takes care of common things like Moltres too. It's really nice to have against. Then we have Solid Snake, my Steelix, Life Orbs, Iron Head, Earthquake, Ice Fang, and Stealth Rock. It's been a really reliable set. Almost nothing wants to switch in on the Life Orb, Iron Head. They just do so much damage. It's sheer force. Then we have Fletchender, which at times can do nothing, and then at times is just so valuable that I just love having it on the team. It's basically Baby Talonflame if you don't know what it does. It doesn't get Brave Bird, but it does get Acrobatics, so I don't run Nighthawk on it. Then I have my Toxic Stalling Golbat. Oh, this is Batman and Robin, by the way. I have my Toxic Stalling Golbat with the Fog and Roost, If you played against the Golbat, it likely did some of the same things that mine does. Clawitzer is just a monster, and I needed something that hacks a wide variety of coverage, and can hit hard. At this point, I think I was running Expert Belt, but I've been running Assault Vest lately, which has actually been really, really helpful for taking a few extra hits and not only having to rely on Golbat as my special wall. And then finally, bringing him up from NU, I have Shiftry, who is a very threatening sweeper in NU and actually does a lot of work in this tier too. I mainly run it just because my team struggles a lot with Reuniclus and Alomomola, which you will see one in this battle as he has one on the other team. Son of a bitch. I hate Alomomola so much. Let's go ahead and start the battle. So I'm leading off with my Magneton. God damn it. I just have to apologize to Magneton right off the bat. He leads off with his Credilli. I don't want to lock myself into Flash Cannon right away, because I know that he might switch, and then I don't want to put myself in a bad situation. So I will switch out and go into my Golbat, knowing that he'll probably want to set up rocks, and I could just defog those away and then Toxic Stall him out. He knows this, so he switches into his Delphox, which can deal a lot of damage to anything on my team. This is one of the Pokemon that I've struggled with the most out of any in the RU tier, because if you look at my team, almost nothing wants to switch on a Fire Blast. Only Golbat and Clawitzer don't mind. And then they do mind it being immediately followed up with a Grass Knot or a Psyshock in Golbat's case. So I defog his rocks away. He gets off a Fire Blast, which does a clean 46%, and I'm max special defense, so that is no joke. Delphox has some power. And not wanting to take... Okay, this is a huge play. Huge play right here. So I, thinking that he is going to want to take out my Golbat with a Psyshock, I switch out and go into my Shiftry so I can easily scare him out with a Sucker Punch or go for a knockoff, predicting the switch. You know, the works. And he goes for the Fire Blast, either predicting that or I don't know if he was choiced or what, but wow, and he misses. It's just such a huge turning point for this game, and the score is still 6-6. I get a free switch into my Shiftry, and he has to switch out because this Delphox can cause a mass amount of damage to my team, but he has to switch. So he switches out, fearing the Sucker Punch, which I have no choice but to go for, just in case he wants to go for another Fire Blast predicted knockoff. He sends in his Granbull. It's a relatively safe switch. But I go back into my Golbat and he T-Waves. I don't think I've ever seen T-Wave on Granbull. And then he goes for the Ice Punch, and I just get a Toxic off, knowing there's really not much I can do at this point with Golbat. I just have to make sure that I can get the rocks away. I switch into my Magneton, because Magneton's a pretty nice counter to Granbull, and I figured if he's running Ice Punch, he's definitely not running Fire Punch. That would be kind of silly. So now I'm going to go for another Volt Switch, predicting him to not want to stay in. He brings out the Credillia again. I don't know why he's switching his Credillia into potential Flash Cannons, but hey, I mean, works for me, I guess. So I send out my Steelix. Steelix is a pretty solid counter to Credillia most of the time, unless it's carrying Earth Power. And I figured from the set that he's running, a bulky Stealth Rock set, that he's most likely not running it. So what I did is I came in and I went for an Ice Fang, and I have no idea why I did that as opposed to an Iron Head, because Iron Head is always going to be dealing more damage. I think I kind of just forgot it was super effective for a moment there. So he brings out his Doublade, and I just get up my rocks, knowing that I can't really defog his away, so I have to get my own up so I can pressure some stuff on his team, like the Delphox and the Granbull. He gets up an SD with his Doublade as I do this, which is very scary. But I just go for an Earthquake, do a solid 61% with Life Orb. That's not bad. And then, fearing the Sacred Sword, I switch out and I just sack my Golbat, knowing that I can easily bring in my Shiftry and scare him out, because he can't go for anything but Shadow Sneak. So he switches out and he goes back into his Granbull, and I just throw off a knockoff. There was no reason for me not to. Anything that comes in was going to take some damage and lose their item. So, again, no reason for me not to go for it. So, Shiftry can't take on the Granbull, but my Steelix can. He goes for the Heal Bell. I'm not sure if I really agree with that. There was no reason for him to do that. Oh, look at me, sounding like a big Pokemon YouTuber. And then I throw off an Iron Head, and this son of a bitch comes in. Now, seeing Alomomola early on in the game is really not that big of a deal, because you have a chance to rack up some damage on it, so when it comes back in and gets its Regenerator, it may not be that big of a deal. But, jeez, this thing just has way too much pull. But late in the game is where you want to fear it, where it can really just sit behind its Protects and its Wishes and Toxic Stall you out. That's just so annoying. I have no idea where he went for the Toxic there. I had no reason not to switch in Magneton. And then, finally predicting his Credillia to come in one more time, I'm finally going to go for the Flash Cannon and take it out. He brings in his Delphox. I don't think that Flash Cannon would take it out from that range, although I could be wrong. So I'm going to switch in and basically sack my Clawitzer to 2 Fire Blasts. I know I can take the second one and knock him out with a Dark Pulse, but then he can easily just bring in Hitmonlee or Doublade and Revenge Kill me. I'm imagining Hitmonlee because he wants to set up the sweep, which is what he does. Goes with the Fake Out, wastes his normal gem on me, perfectly fine by me, because I have a perfect counter to this in my Fletchinder, which I can scare this thing out. He's going to go into his Doublade, get off a little bit of damage with the Acrobatics, and then I don't want this thing to start setting up, so what I do is I Roost, and then I just fire off a Will-O-Wisp to burn it. I don't know why you went for the Iron Head. Shadow Claw would be the much better option. So now I take a Shadow Claw, and now what I realize is I need to have this thing not crit me, and then I need to get myself above 50% so I can take this thing out and then bring it back in again, just in case he wants to bring in his Granbull or Alomomola. He brings in the Granbull. Now my goal is to get above 50%. He does Play Rough, it puts me just below, so I'm going to go for one more Roost, and I don't know why he didn't go for Play Rough again, but he goes for the Ice Punch, which is very strange. Maybe he's hoping for a freeze. But either way, I switch out, go back to my Magneton, eat up a Play Rough. I guess, wow, that actually does a decent amount. and then I just go for the T-Bolt, knowing that nothing on his team really wants to take one that badly. He doesn't actually go for the fake out here, which kind of surprised me. I was thinking maybe he would hope for a crit or something, but he also didn't know that I was Choice Scarfed, so. Now I bring in my Fletchinder once again. He's going to bring in his Alamola. I have no choice but to just go for the Acrobatics, do some damage. And so now I'm thinking my best play is honestly just to Willow it. He Toxics me for some reason. I don't really know why. But my best play was to just get pressure on it, to use those wishes as early as possible, and then just do a bit more damage with Acrobatics as he Toxic Stalls me out. I know that my Shiftry can take this thing on one-on-one and beat it. I don't necessarily need Fletchinder, although I think at this point in the battle, I thought I had lost, because I was pretty sure my Steelix at 87% was not taking a high jump kick. But I bring in my Shiftry and I do a solid 54-55% with the Seed Bomb. God, this thing is so bulky. That's from a Life Orb Shiftry. Like, come on, Alamola, just get out of here. Alright, so I predict his Protect and I go for the Swords Dance. It doesn't really matter that much. He goes for another Protect, and for some reason I went for Sucker Punch. I don't know why. Just thinking, I guess, that maybe he can't outspeed me, so I really, again, don't know why I went for that. But anyway, he brings in this Hitmon lead. He's gonna kill me with the Fake Out, and I bring in my Steelix, and I'm like, ah, shit, I've lost. This thing's just gonna hit me for a butt ton of damage, and look at that! Look at Steelix just eating that hit like a monster and finishing him off with an Iron Head. And that was the game. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I really hope that at some point I can bring you an actual like laddering session with this team, but I just keep running into so much bullshit that I don't want to deal with. And it'd just be super boring to put up. But I'll see what I can do. I'll keep trying, and hopefully I can get a video to you guys pretty soon. But for now, I will catch you later.